Now, you've been at the helm now for about 2 months. How are things going?
Things are going well, I think. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far. I have to say that I've had some insight into the position for the last several years, and being able to see it from afar. But it is a little bit different than I thought. I almost feel as though I'm trying to catch a bullet with my teeth, but it's coming along.
What are your priorities for this fiscal year, and especially as we head into the legislative session?
Our priorities are first, I think, to position ourselves where we can speak about the values of state parks as these budget talks are progressing and they begin to move forward. We need to be able to understand our operations well enough that we can be very responsive, provide accurate information. There's lots for me to learn. This is a new role, so I've been learning as much as I can and preparing myself to be able to describe and articulate those kinds of needs to the Legislative Budget Board or anybody else that might ask.
And as you might expect, we got a question about Tex Parks, and that question was, what are they doing to ensure that Tex Parks will get better and not slow down or go down every other weekend?
Well, I understand that fear. Tex Parks is an enormous project, and we've committed a lot of resources to this project, and as it's been in development for a couple of years now. It's really important to know that we've made mistakes, and we know this, and in the way that we've structured, the way we've approached the management of the project. And I'd say this not only from our perspective, but also the vendors. And we've had candid conversations, both parties, and we're looking forward with lessons learned from the past. We've restructured our management approach to it, and we've built in some safeguards and processes to make sure that some of the releases of new development in the software packages actually meets our needs, and that we're doing a better job at communicating what those needs are on the front end of development. I'm hopeful because we know that we're committed, and we're confident that our vendor is committed to this as well.
We also got a lot of questions about employee retention and salary issues.
Okay.
Picked a couple of kind of broader questions. One is, what new strategies are we going to be looking at or implementing to ensure employee retention?
It's a good question, and it's certainly a challenge to us. And one of the things that we've experienced in state parks over the last year or so, and a lot of it is driven by the economy, I think, and the unemployment rate, is that we're seeing more and more applicants for our vacancies, which is a good thing. So we have a much better pool from which to select, and we've got to commit ourselves first to hiring the best possible person. And I think as managers in this or any other organization, one of the most important things we do is put the right people in the right job. And so if we make that first decision well, then we have a much better chance of retaining them, ensuring that they're going to have good performance. Retention is such a complicated issue. There's so many factors involved, one being pay, of course, and we need to be competitive in what we pay and compensate employees, and we're committed to doing that. And I know we may get into this in other questions, but we have an ECIP is a term that we've used in state parks. It's Employee Compensation Improvement Plan. And it was a plan that we developed over the last couple of years to address and properly compensate employees based on their roles and their responsibilities. We didn't have the funds to fully implement that plan, so we've broken it up into phases. And what I want to do is be very transparent with the staff, and so and I can understand right now, and I appreciate the fact that it's confusing. Okay, we've implemented phase 1 of ECIP. What is left to be done? We've actually gone beyond phase 1, in some cases targeted specific positions that were clearly out of alignment and needed adjustment in compensation. And to the extent that we could afford it, we've addressed those positions, but obviously there's more to do. But there's something that we can do that I think that doesn't cost money, and it's something that I'm committed to, and it's my hope and expectation that our entire management team will be committed to, and that's creating a work environment that for employees that they love and that they can appreciate, and that they feel like they're valued and a part of, and that we communicate very clearly, and they know their role, and they know that their role is very important, and that's done through good planning, but more importantly probably through good relationship building. between management and staff, and that we can be supportive. And so those are some of the things that I think are important in retention that we're going to commit to.
Of course, we're all aware of the headlines about the state budget deficit. And here's a question about potential budget cuts.
Sure.
I would like to know how Brent plans to handle what I perceive to be hard times ahead for state parks.
It's important that we all know and that we all have concern. I don't want us to be overwhelmed by the fact of something that might happen. To the extent that we can take that concern and focus it in areas that I think are to our advantage. And one is to communicate the message in our communities and with our constituents, the value of state parks in their lives and in their economy, in so many different ways. State parks are valuable to Texans, and oftentimes they may not know it. And so it's important that we message that and we get that out consistently. As it relates to the budget, and as we move into the session, obviously this is my first session in this role, but I'm going to depend on the experience of a very capable executive office that we have here to help guide me in that. But I will say that we have a lot of partners throughout this state, and a lot of people that are very committed to state parks, and we need to engage them, and we need to keep them aware. One of the things that we can do to position ourselves best in any difficult situation like this is to prepare. And so we're going through, this is a relatively new process that we've just begun in the last couple of weeks. We're assessing our operations and how effective are we at achieving our mission and all aspects of our mission at every one of our sites. We want to maximize that. And through that, where we have needs, we're going to set priorities related to budget. And this is how we're going to determine how we allocate funds. A $21 billion shortfall is a lot of money to make up. And we know that we're going to be expected to do our part. But we don't want to lose sight of our mission. And our mission includes other things besides whether a park is profitable, or certainly to the extent that it recovers its costs. We have conservation values that we want to uphold. We have interpretive and education programs and recreation that we want to provide at a very high quality level. And so we're going to be committed to doing that with the resources that we have. And to one different approach that we're going to take now than what has been done in the past is, rather than dilute the entire system and basically bleeding ourselves out because we've cut and equally across the board, we're going to be more strategic with the way we make our identify our opportunities to save funds and maximize our ability to achieve the mission.
Is there anything you'd like to add or say to staff?
Well, just this, and that is, I've spent almost 3 decades in this industry, specifically in this agency and in this department. And it's been a very rewarding career. I've formed a lot of friendships. Friendships that will last a lifetime. And I'm so thankful. I'm privileged to be in the job. I feel like I have the confidence of staff. They've encouraged me in so many different ways and continue to do that, and I appreciate it. My charge for all of our supervisors, all of our team leaders, our management team throughout state parks is to do the same for and support our folks in the field and in our support programs in Austin. I want to create an environment where everybody loves their job. They may not be making as much as the attorney downtown. They may not be, but there are so many other things in our job that we can take note and realize what a blessing it is to have all of these things, this work environment, and this team to work with. I want us to have an open and communication with one another, that we can talk frankly and leave friends at the end of the day and solve problems together, utilize the good ideas that exist in the minds of all of our staff. That's what I'm committed to. It's the environment that I want to create. It's the culture that I think exists now, but we can build upon it. And we've had good leadership in the past. And so there's not significant change that needs to take place. I just want to continue to build on those successes And I'm excited for the opportunity, and I can't wait to get in the parks. I was in a park just yesterday and the day before that, that's where days are best spent, and I look forward to getting out in the field and meeting more folks.
Thank you very much for your time this morning, Brent.
Thank you, Lydia.